Want to call to order the Kennedale City Council Special Meeting, January 26, 2023 at 5:30 PM. City Hall Council Chambers at 405 Municipal Drive, Kennedale, Texas 76060. Members of the public may join in person or access a live feed at www.cityofkennedale.com/videos. The virtual option does not allow for public comment. To address the Kennedale City Council regarding an agenda item, you must submit a request to speak form before the meeting begins. Speakers, you will be allotted 3 minutes and you must limit your comments to the subject indicated on the form. And please address the Kennedale City Council as a whole rather than individual members or staff. Pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.071, the Kennedale City Council reserves the right to adjourn into executive closed session at any time during the meeting to seek legal advice from the city attorney on any item posted on the agenda. May I get a roll call?
Rocky Gilly, place 1.
Present.
Brad Horton, place 2.
Present.
Kenneth Michaels, place 3.
Here.
Austin Degenhart, place 4.
I'm here.
James Connor, place 5.
Accounted for.
Mayor Joplin, we have a quorum.
Thank you. And we will go straight into the Visitors and Citizen Forum. And we do have a speaker that's requested to speak, Chris Gary, if you'll come on up. And just your name and phone number, no phone number, your name and address.
Okay. Sorry about this. I'm trying to read this off my phone because I wrote it down on that piece of paper there.
You want to borrow my glasses?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good. Name's Chris Gary. I live at 1300 McCullen in Magnolia Hills. I was just wanted to speak on support of the, or actually opposite, support of the moratorium to move the 6-month, give y'all more time to update your UDC code. Yeah, in all fairness, to be honest, I don't really think more apartments and townhomes in the long run would benefit our city, the infrastructure, roads, schools, the strain on the schools. And obviously stuff we talked about in Magnolia Hills, some of the drainage issues and the ecological issues that we have in this community that's very close and tight knit. So I wish and I hope and I ask that y'all move this down 6 months. Y'all can update the UDC and then also get on the same page as far as how we're going to move forward in the future with multi-housing or townhomes. Off the Landing, last time I was here, obviously they came with the whole presentation, a boatload, lights, trash, toys. The people from Steeplechase were pretty upset about the way they were being handled there. So that could happen again here in Kennedale if that continues. So please consider doing that. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we'll move to the regular session. Our items for individual consideration. The first one, this is a discussion and necessary action on the second reading of the proposed temporary moratorium on the acceptance of applications or the issuance of permits for development in multifamily residential and townhome zoning districts in the city of Kennedale. We've already had one council meeting and a planning and zoning meeting and hearing, 2 public hearings. So this is, unless there's any other discussions, I'll take a motion for the vote.
Motion to approve the temporary moratorium on the acceptance of applications or the issuance of permits for development in multifamily residential and townhome zoning districts in the city of Kennedale.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor? Unanimous approval of the moratorium.
Sidebar, Mayor or City Manager, this goes into effect today, correct?
That's my understanding.
Thank you.
And I'm going to excuse Councilman Degenhart at this time. Thank you. We'll go ahead and move to the items for individual consideration. Item 2, which is to review and consider approval for the November and December 2022 financials. And at this time, I'll turn that over to Mr. Hull or Tanisha. To Mr. Hull and Tanisha.
What we're trying to do, we're going to give an update from our consultant, Debbie Reed. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to physically be here tonight, but she also is available by Zoom. So what we're going to do, if it'll give us a couple of minutes, make sure we can get online with her and get her set up. That way, if you have any discussions that you need or have any questions, she's here to help us walk through the process of what's been going on for the last week and some of the findings that we have and what the recommendations are.
So before we continue that, I do have a question. Was this a typo for November and December? Because I have October and November.
Yes, it was.
Thank you.
Don't speak, Debbie.
Okay, I'm sorry. Was having a little.
Just hold on, Debbie.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good evening, Mayor and members of council, and Daryl there and Tanisha. Daryl had asked me to come help the city of Kennedale to review, and Daryl, I'm assuming you wanted me to talk about the budget reconciliation that we did, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. If you can walk us through the whole process of from the beginning to the end, basically giving us a start and where we're currently at and what we need to go to move forward to correct any issues.
Yeah, so I reviewed one of the, excuse me, one of the items that Daryl had for me to look at was the fiscal year 23 budget. You all had adopted your budget, of course, in September, and we're ready to start the new fiscal year October 1. And the numbers in the operating system were just not agreeing to the adopted budget. So I started with the ordinance and your exhibit A, which is all your totals by each fund. And then I reconciled that to the accounting system, the STW accounting system. And basically there were just a few items found on the revenue side. The revenues were actually correct for the general fund. There were just some account setup issues in the accounting system. So Tanisha and I worked through that. Some of the accounts were coded incorrectly in the STW system. So with those changes, the report totals were not totaling correctly. So we've got that in line. There were just some small items for the EDC reserve fund and the hotel motel tax fund, or the EDC bond reserve fund. There was just one line item in the approved budget that did not get uploaded into STW. So we loaded that in. And for the hotel motel tax fund, there was just a formula issue actually in the budget book document. Nothing, STW was good. It matched the adopted budget. So there I've given Tanisha and Daryl some changes to the actual budget book that need to be updated so that the totals will all flow through and agree. So on the revenue side, things were pretty well in order. On the expenditure side, I did the same thing, went from the adopted budget back to the detail in STW and to the budget document, the budget book, and made sure that all three agreed. And we did find a couple of items that on the general fund in the police department, there was one item that did not get loaded into STW, although it was approved. So we got that placed into STW. For the fire department, there was one account that was just coded incorrectly, so it didn't load correctly into STW. So we fixed that one. That was $25,000. And then there was another item on the non-departmental budget, that area of the general fund. It was just a formatting thing in the budget book. Again, there were some line items missing, but with the changes that I've given to Tanisha and Daryl, then that will match the approved budget. In the street improvement fund, we were missing a small line item that wasn't loaded in STW. So we've loaded that. That was just $200. In the Parks and Rec other donation fund, there was another line item that did not get loaded into STW. So we loaded that for $6,800. The unclaimed property fund, the STW was okay to match the approved budget, but there was a formula issue in the budget detail book, in that part of the book. And then so those all were just, really, they were minor things. Either something didn't get uploaded into STW, or there was a formatting issue in the detail budget book, so that the two were not agreeing to the approved budget. We've got all those changes in order, and Tanisha will be working through making all of those on the system and in the budget book to make those all agree. There were two funds, a water impact fund and the sewer impact fund, where the detailed budget schedule, the totals were not carried forward correctly to the adopted budget. So the approved budget for the water impact fund and sewer impact fund are actually short from what the detail budget shows is needed for the fiscal year. So what I've done is given Daryl some proposed language for a budget amendment, because I feel that the intention was that the water impact fund and sewer impact fund would have these transfers over to the water fund as part of the operations for the year. So I feel you'll want to make that budget amendment to get that one actually approved by council. That was the only place where I saw that it wasn't just something we could fix on the system or in the budget book. This one actually would involve a budget amendment. And I'd be happy to answer any questions further about that. Any questions?
Debbie, thank you so much. This is Jan Joplin, the mayor.
Yes.
Since this is the first time we're hearing all of this information at one time, it's going to take us a minute to process it. I actually had
Yes.
gone through with a fine tooth comb and reviewed from where we were back to the budget, and did come up with those exact line items that varied from where the budget started. So I personally, the only question I have at this point is where we're currently at now on the budget, on the general fund, the expenditures, the total is 10,337,352. And the difference between that and what's in the budget, line item budget, is a $70,593. Is that somewhere in the non-departmental adjustment that'll be made?
Well, I would have to look for that exact amount that you're referencing. So you're saying when you did your comparison, that was a number that you came up with?
Well, the budget that I'm looking at for, let's just say October. So I'm looking at the October, the financial report that we were provided tonight. The general fund expenses shows an amount of 10,337,352.
Okay,
Okay, and our budget reads 10,266,759.
okay. Well, and for the general fund total expenditures,
Right,
because I show 10,542,352 for the general fund expenditure.
that's revenues.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, on the exhibit A to the ordinance, when the budget was adopted, I show 10,542,352.
That's correct.
It does match the revenues.
Yeah, that's correct
so-
for the revenues. The expenditures on, I don't know if you have the budget book, but on page,
I do not have the budget book in front of me,
Okay.
but I do have some of the detail pages in front of me. And the general fund total expenditures. Yes, but I showed on the, and I don't know what page number this is. Well, look in your budget book on page 111. It's under the appendix. Page 111. And at the top, once you get there, you'll see the general fund and then the revenue, there's the revenue column and the expenditure column. So that's the expenditure number, the 10,542,352. That's the total. And then the number, Mayor, that you're giving me, let me just get my calculator here.
I think that may actually be an error. Because those amounts are exactly the same. The revenue and expenditures are exactly the same, which,
But
and it,
that's where I did tie out those numbers.
Okay.
To the detail expenditure line items, the 10,542. So it did with the items that I found, in the general fund, it was really, in the police department, there was one item missing
right,
for 205,000.
205, right, and 25
And
for
then there was-
fire.
And the 25 for fire, and then on the non-departmental, let's see the budget. It was just a formatting thing on the detail page for the non-departmental, but but STW system agreed to the approved budget amount. So, but you're saying the number you have for expenditures is how much? It's 10 million
On page 36, it shows expenditures 10,266,759.
Okay, so that's a difference of 275,593. 270. And I don't have that page.
Okay,
You said it was page 36. Is that what you said?
Page 36.
yes, sorry.
I just don't have that one in front of me.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. That would be the only question I have. It's not a major deal. And some of this might be, as you look at it, you may find, what drove that because the numbers do add up
Yes.
on the page. So you may be able to find,
Yes, and what, on page 36, what is the context of that page? Is it talking about just the general fund?
yes, fund summary, general fund. It has the revenues in the top block, and then in the middle block, it has expenditures.
Okay. And you're talking about the fiscal year 23 proposed budget column, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I will look at that page,
Okay.
Mayor, and see. I just don't have that one in front of me, but I'm sure, I feel confident that I've tied out the detail budget pages to the adopted from the ordinance that was adopting the budget to that 10,542. Let me research this number on page 36 and see what that is coming from. And I'll be able to
Okay.
have an answer for you tomorrow.
I feel like it might tie back to the non-departmental because the difference between what was budgeted and the number that I had on the financial report was a difference of 275,593. So there's that 593 hanging out there. So sometimes that's why I ask if it may tie back to that. So that's probably where I would start.
Issue. And I do have my thing here. Let me flip back here to my detail. You know what, Mayor, you are exactly right. So the two items, and I don't know what page number the non-departmental detail is on, but it is exactly that number. So that number on page 36 must not include these two line items that were part of the non-departmental. It's a transfer out to the capital reserve fund of 120,000, and it's the incremental property tax line item of 155. They're both transfers out is what they are. So it is exactly that number. And so I'll look at page 36 and see, should it be on page 36? I'll look at the context of page 36 and let you know, but that is exactly what it is.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Any other questions? And I'm sure there will be more questions. Give us some time to process this because we're just seeing this for the first time.
Yes, and I did give, it probably would help maybe Daryl or Tanisha. I gave them a summary in an email, but I could do up like a report for y'all that you would have it more formally than me just telling you over a Zoom call. And I don't know if you have anything in front of you.
That would be good. Yeah, we
I can
don't.
prepare a report.
That would be great. I think that would be very, very helpful. It is, I do understand that you couldn't be here. My condolences to you at this time. And I appreciate you being able for the Zoom call,
Yes.
to help us because this is obviously very important to us and we want to start understanding, what happened and where we are. So we're
Yes.
thankful for you.
Yes, and I appreciated the opportunity to help Daryl and Tanisha on this, and even you, council. It is a very important item. Your budget has to be in order, and I've come in and I've taken a look at things, and I told Daryl, I'm confident we've got your bank reconciliations are all in order. I said, the way you know that everything is okay, we'll get the budget reconciled, which I feel we've identified all those items. The other thing is we want to make sure that your bank accounts are all reconciled to your general ledger, and those are in order. So that is a comforting thing. Then it's really looking at the transactions to see if there's anything unusual, but I have not really seen anything unusual in my review so far.
Excellent. Well, I know we're going to have some council that have some questions tonight, but if you guys could, so I'll just go around the room and I will start with Councilman Gilly. Do you have any questions?
No, I don't.
Councilman Horton?
Just two quick ones. Number one, and I know you alluded to this, but just to confirm, you did, and I know you're not doing an internal control review or anything like that, but you didn't see, like you said, you didn't see anything out of the ordinary or any control mechanisms that we don't have in place that we should or anything like that. Is that correct?
Right. In my initial look, and I feel that the books seem to be in good order. You're getting ready to go through your year-end audit. So I'll be helping Tanisha work through some year-end closing entries that have to be done and to get ready for the year-end audit. But like I said, looking at the results from last year, making sure that things look in order from what the approved budget was last year and where the year ended, and then knowing that your budget is in order going into the new year and that your bank accounts are reconciled to the books. I haven't seen anything at this point that looks alarming to me at all.
Perfect. Thank you. And then
Yes.
just I guess the second one, are we good to go now at this point to going forward? Do we know what we need to do going forward? We're good with that?
That's correct.
Okay. All I got. Thank you.
Miss Reed, she will have a full report dealing exactly from point A to Z all the way through. So there's not going to be any surprises in between. I wanted to give an update straight from Miss Reed of where we're at. Obviously, we're not completely done, but I will say we're probably anywhere from about 80% complete. We know what we have, and what we've been looking at for the last 3 months have been accurate. I thought that was very important to be able to come out and explain to that, and everything is matching to that point of what we believe the problem was in the past.
I certainly appreciate that very much. Councilman Michaels?
I have no question.
And Councilman Degenhart left, and so Councilman Connors.
This is a lot of information, and thank you very much for having to go through this, Debbie. I do appreciate it. Going back really quickly, you did say that the sewer and water impact fund was short from the budget. Can you talk a little bit more about that? How much are we talking about?
Yes, I think in the detailed budget book toward the back, where it has, and Tanisha might be able to, Tanisha, I don't know if you have your budget book there, but in the back where it gives the detail for the water impact fund and the sewer, they'd be under special revenue funds. It'd be the water impact fund and the sewer impact fund. And I don't have the page number referenced on my note here. When the detailed budget schedules list the regular expenditure line items, that's a pretty normal number. Then you have that section, other transfers, and the transfers in and transfers out are in the same section. So the transfers out are a bracket number. And when the person, whoever compiled the detailed budget schedule to roll it up to the summary schedule that was used for your budget that was adopted, on page 111, the sewer impact fund, let me find it here. It's under the water and sewer funds, water impact fund and the sewer impact fund. If you look at the expenditure column on page 111, the water impact fund shows expenditures of $20,000, and the sewer impact fund shows a negative expenditure of $10,000. So those are the two numbers that were rolled up from the detail schedules incorrectly. So back in the detail, and like I said, I don't have that page reference number.
Oh, it's 104 and 105.
Where
104 and 105.
104 and 105. So if you look there, you'll see that there is for the water impact fund, the expenditures, the detail, if you take the 50,000 regular engineering service expense, I think it is, and then you have 30,000 of a transfer to you have 30,000 transfer out to the water fund. When that schedule was rolled up to your summary that was used to adopt the budget, they were netted together. They're both expenditure line items, so they should have been added together, not 50,000 minus 30,000. That 30,000 is an expenditure. It's just the way that schedule is designed. It looks confusing. So they netted the two numbers together instead of adding them, 50 and 30 of expenditures. It should have been an $80,000 budgeted expenditure that got adopted. Same was true on the sewer impact fund. It should have been 110,000, 50,000 engineering services, 60,000 transferred to the water sewer fund. That was net, which created that negative 10,000 expenditure that rolled up to what you adopted on the summary budget schedule. Does that kind of give you an idea of what happened?
Yes, so it was added and it shouldn't have, it was added and it should have been. Got it.
Yeah.
Really quickly, going over the budget. Now, you did state that there was a lot of formatting errors and coding was incorrect and line items were not uploaded. What could have caused this? Do you know?
Well, the formatting, some in the budget detail book, it was just formulas and things that happened there. Then the numbers, when they were loaded into STW, one I know for sure that didn't come over correctly. It didn't have a correct account number, so it didn't end up in the right place. It didn't end up in the fire department. So we found that one. I think it was just with uploads to the system, that can happen. That's not uncommon. And so it takes a lot of double checking. You know, you load it and then you have to double check to make sure all the numbers balance. And these, so they knew that they weren't balancing. So that's why we did the review, to find out exactly which ones were missing. I couldn't tell, like where I said, the EDC bond reserve fund, that revenue didn't get put in.
Yeah.
It's just I don't really know why that one didn't get loaded in, but we identified them and we were able to put them in just through another upload of those certain account numbers that were missing to make sure it matched.
Okay. Well, again, thank you very much for your professional experience in this and helping us dive down into this and get it corrected. I would appreciate that email,
Summary.
the summary email, whenever it's possible. And again, thank you so much, and my condolences to you and your family.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else have anything else? Otherwise, Ms. Reed, thank you so much. And
Yes, thank you.
we'll go ahead and move to executive session, which I don't believe we have anything executive session. So I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
Second.
all in favor? Unanimous adjourn. Thank you, everyone.